accommodating that change. In the date when I requested, ma'am readily accepted, and thank you so much for that, ma'am. So that is how I made it possible for this session today. Otherwise, it would not have happened. Thank you so much. And to start off, every day we think about doing something new. We being in the teaching profession, we cannot survive with our yesterday's skills. So that is one big lesson and one big tagline with which we start off our journey and also continue in our journey as teachers. So let me share my whatever I know about what innovations and how we can bring about these innovations in our day-to-day teaching and learning and make this teaching learning a joyous experience. So let me begin, and if I can share the screen, let me check if it is enabled, ma'am. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. To continue with this very FDP is on the usage of innovative pedagogical techniques. So when we are looking at innovative pedagogical techniques, we have to understand how we take this through and how we as teachers become instrumental in this particular journey. So let me begin with a quote by Ron Kaufman, who said, quality is a choice. So when we have the choice, definitely let's choose to make it better. So when we are talking about the entire teaching learning ecosystem, so when we are looking at the whole entire process where we are talking about this teaching learning, we look at it from three different dimensions. One is quality enhancement, second is the teaching skills, and the third is the learning effectiveness. So when we are talking about the learning effectiveness and the teaching skills, then we find the overall quality ecosystem, it gets enhanced. So we keep this as our focus, we keep this as our context, and then we continue with our discussion. So before I even want to speak about what exactly we are talking about, let's see what exactly is this Education 4.0. Because every day, day in and day out in this VUCA world, we hear about the terms Education 4.0, Industry 4.0. So now let's quickly watch this short video, then we continue with our discussion. Please let me know if the video you are able to see and hear the sound. Just 1 second. Please confirm.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear the voice. No, we can hear the audio also.
So after watching this, we are clearly able to understand what exactly is this Industry 4.0, where we are heading, and what is the speed with which things are changing. So when we are looking at the pace and when we are looking at how these processes are getting transformed and new careers are opening up, is our education system also at par with this? Because it has a great influence on what exactly we are doing as educational institutions. So to cater to the requirements, what is the education system doing and how are we gearing up to meet the requirements? Because in this entire education scenario, we see a lot of changes are happening now. Learners have a lot of liberty, they have information at their fingertips. They have the self-paced learning. All of us know about the online certified learning, like we have a lot of platforms like Coursera, we have the Swayam platform. So all these are self-paced. Students have that opportunity to learn, get themselves certified from the best of the best universities. So now this is where we see how exactly Industry 4.0 and whether education sector is really gearing up to meet the requirements. So let's get started here and understand some of these facts. Why we teach people the way we were taught. How many of us agree with this, disagree with this, or have something else to say? Let's keep it a little interactive so that, when we start teaching, generally we start off as teachers. We start off with the mindset and with a very, very focused mindset that we want to teach the way we were taught, right? So when we introspect, let's just look back and understand, how do we teach in class? Are we teaching the children the way we were taught? Or is it a little different? Or is it totally different? This is for us to look and understand, introspect, and see what is it that we are doing. So then it gives us the answer. When we answer it to ourselves, we understand whether it is really catering to the present day requirements, whether it is really, matching the requirements of the present VUCA scenario, the volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous scenario. That is the VUCA world we are talking about. And we have to prepare the students to survive in this VUCA world. So when we introspect, we just look inside, look back and see how are we teaching. Should, if at all we are teaching the way we were taught, the question arises, should the present day students learn the same way their teachers did? If the answer is yes, then there is a huge gap between what is the industry requirement and what exactly we are as educational institutions doing. If the answer to this is no, then we see a huge opportunity for us to really, bring in our thoughts and come out with certain very, very effective methodologies how students need to learn so that they are able to compete in the present complex scenario. So these two questions are something which we should ponder about. How is it we are teaching? And should the students learn the same way their teachers did? If we answer these two questions, then things are fine. We have a huge opportunity. 20th century education model was very, very simple, where we had one set of content, which was a fixed set of content, and there used to be an assessment at the end of that particular time period. Whether it is end of the semester or end of the year, there would be an assessment. And this content also would be kind of a very generic content which used to be there. But now, when we look at 21st century, we don't have that kind of a common content. We have so many different categories in it, in which we want to extend and keep the learning open. So we have the life skills, then we have the 21st century content. What is this 21st century content? Where we just saw in the video, there are a lot of new avenues that are opening up. There is a lot of requirement in terms of artificial intelligence and all these aspects. So that is the 21st century content. Then we have a few core subjects. Then we have learning and thinking skills, where, the World Economic Forum report of 2021 says critical thinking and creative thinking are on top of the chart when it comes to the top ranking skills. And then we have the ICT literacy. So all these form the content now, unlike the 20th century content. And of course, the assessments are also much more structured, much more varied, wherein we take into consideration the continuous evaluation which takes place, right? Now, the most interesting part of this is the situation that we see, the conflict that arises is between a traditional teacher and the 21st century learner. So the conflict is always between the traditional mindset versus 21st century learner. 21st century learners are typically learners who are extremely inquisitive and also have every bit of information at their fingertips. So we call them as infotective. 21st century learners are infotective in nature. They know the whys and hows, various sources of information, and also purposeful information. And the right-hand side of the slide shows the various sources from which they are able to have the information at their fingertips. So now, when we just go back and see, there is this always a very, very pertinent question which arises, and that conflict which is reflected, that is between the traditional teacher and the 21st century learner. Now, how do we resolve this conflict? So what happens? Of course, you cannot curb the inquisitiveness of the 21st century learner. We as teachers have to gear up to match those expectations, right? So this is one model which I developed in one of the papers which I got published. It is regarding the teaching innovations to create future fit talent. So this is the model which was developed, where I wanted to just share that with everyone, where I have compared the skills required for Industry 4.0 and the pedagogical tools required for Education 4.0. So here, this we see that it is both a cause and an effect. There is a two-way relationship here. So the skills required for Industry 4.0, we have categorized these into three buckets: learning skills, life skills, and literacy skills. So literacy skills are more pertaining to the IT literacy. So there should not be any ambiguity there. Learning skills in terms of the learning styles, literacy skills in terms of the digital literacy. So we have come out with the learning skills, under which we have very advanced techniques like design thinking, that's picking up creative thinking. So when you're talking about creative thinking, how exactly we are able to come out with something different as a solution to a problem. So thinking differently is this creative thinking, collaborating, because collaborative learning is something which has been found to be very, very effective. So when we look at this collaborating, that is again a learning skill which is required for Industry 4.0, communicating and problem solving. So these, if you look at it, are most of them are the skills that have been identified by the World Economic Forum. Now, to match those learning skills, to cater to these learning skills, how is it that Education 4.0 has to get up? What is it that we are doing in terms of specifically addressing this particular requirement? So when it comes to the pedagogical tools, we have again 3 buckets we have made: experimental, experiential, and e-learning. So when it comes to experimental, so the kind of pedagogy that we are looking at, that we could adopt, because my session today is on advanced learning methods. So here we are talking about, once again, the collaborative pedagogical teaching, then project-based teaching. Project-based teaching is when we are able to make the students understand the various aspects through hands-on, that is by way of these projects. Then problem-based. When it comes to problem-based, why has that become a very, very important pedagogical tool? That is because when we are talking about something called as problem solving, the students have to be equipped with the ability to look at a problem from various perspectives. So that is where we have something called as the 6 thinking hats method. So there, when students get the ability to look at a given situation, given problem from various different perspectives, then we have, of course, case-based, which most of us, all of us have been doing. Personalized learning. Personalized learning is where they have the flexibility to go ahead with taking up the courses, then in-basket exercises and flipped classroom. Flipped classroom is something which has been worldwide accepted as an effective method of pedagogy. Why? Because flipped classroom is something where we make the students accountable. We make them answerable. We make them accountable because they take ownership. So once that is implemented, this one-way traffic can be curbed to a certain extent. So we have seen the first part of this, the skills required for Industry 4.0, the learning skills, how pedagogy can cater to equipping the students with these kind of learning skills. Then we have the life skills. So when it comes to life skills, we have flexibility, initiatives, social skills, productivity, and leadership. Now, we no longer talk about just, leadership is just for a few, because this question has always been there, whether leaders are born or leaders are made. Now, this leadership is something which has become a life skill, unless until an individual, gets equipped with these leadership skills, cannot survive. Now, coming to how exactly we are to be catering to enhancing the life skills of the students, what do we do? So we go with experiential techniques or experiential pedagogy, which is game-based. Why we talk about game-based? It's because this is something which gives the kind of mindset to the students, where they can have the 5 major qualities that they can develop. One is altruism, another is spirit of sportsmanship. Then we have the conscientiousness. So all these become something which is part of the game-based approach, where we can definitely cater to the life skills. Or when it comes to the blended mode, when it is blended, we have the opportunity now to enhance the content of what we are dealing with certain online courses. Coursera has come out with almost 8,000 plus courses, which we have offered to our students here as part of their curriculum itself, which is again, we have assigned credits to these online courses. So now what happens here is the Coursera has become part and parcel of our curriculum. So that is again blended, embodied learning. Then we have the field studies. So field studies is something which we are talking about in terms of the project work, the internships that we are giving, and more or beyond that, more and more of the industry connect. That is one thing. Learning in community. This kind of a sensitization towards the societal needs, again, is the need of the hour. So here also I am happy to share that in our own institution, we have something called as social immersion. So social immersion means their concern towards the society and what is it they learn in the process. Then outbound activities, yes, filmmaking, and of course, storytelling. Storytelling is a very, very powerful technique, very powerful tool, through which we can tell the students, we can convey the message to the students regarding various aspects, whatever we are talking about, like decision making, or it could be like taking ownership. All those storytelling is something which is really, really effective and important in the present day scenario. So these things will definitely help the students in attaining the life skills. So these life skills like flexibility, taking initiatives, that is working that extra mile, all these are enhanced by the experiential pedagogical methods. And finally, when it comes to the IT literacy skills, because today is the era of information and technology. So how, to what extent the students are equipped with information literacy, media literacy, technology literacy, data-driven decision-making, and managing virtual teams. All of us have learned very well the art of managing, the art and science of managing virtual teams. So today also, what we are doing here, we have people from different places who have been captured together as one team, and we are able to interact. So this is something which is a present day requirement, and most of the organizations during the COVID time, that was an unfortunate phase. But then again, we learned a lot of new things and we were equipped for that. Did we even realize, did we even imagine a few years back that we could be teaching online? Teaching happening as work from home. We had never imagined that situation. But then it happened and we moved on to this particular requirement. So when it comes to these literacy skills, how are the present day graduates able to work in virtual teams? How are they able to manage these virtual teams? So all these are something where the educational institutions play an important role. So here, the kind of methodologies that we can adopt are web-based teaching, virtual learning. So virtual learning is, of course, the online classes, which we definitely took up during these COVID days. Then the webinars, mobile learning, custom e-learning, MOOCs. MOOCs have become very popular now, like as I said, the platforms like Coursera, they are coming up with a lot of new options for students to take up MOOCs and of course gamification. So now this one model tells us how we are able to come out with future fit talent. That means the pedagogical tools that we have been using earlier are no longer suitable and no longer relevant in the present day industry requirement. So this is one aspect of it. Moving on. So how do we address the skill gap between the industry 4.0 and education 4.0? So this is what we were discussing. Education 4.0 is the short answer because it denotes changes relevant to industry 4.0. Industry can expect better prepared workforce. See, now present day, when the recruiters come to institutions, they want somebody who is ready for the job first day, first hour. It is not that they need to take them as trainees, give them the necessary training, give them that liberty and luxury of having to learn from their mistakes. Industry is no longer prepared for that. So they can expect better prepared workforce. Students have better employability and better preparation for future because it is their higher return on educational investment. See, employability quotient is what every institution is looking at. So employability quotient definitely gets enhanced, and then to meet the industry requirements from this transition, it becomes imperative to integrate the innovative pedagogical tools. So now, in the higher education institutions, the HEIs have to, kind of institutionalize and integrate these innovative pedagogical tools. So we looked at what is the industry requirement and what is it that we need to cater to. So when we are looking at a 21st century teacher, what are the teaching skills required? Of course, teaching is more of learning. So learning and innovation skills is one thing, life and career skills, info media and technology skills, and effective communication skills. So these are something which form the kind of core to cater to whatever is the present day requirement. So now, when it comes to communication skills, what are the benefits? Why do we have to look at effective communication skills, and in what way it helps? In what way it equips the learners in the present day? So it helps them in team building, helps them in collaboration, helps them in interpersonal skills, helps in local, national, and global orientedness. So when we talk about the orientation, it's no longer just confined to a particular place, state, or country. So when it comes to their global orientedness, effective communication skills play an important role, and interactive communication. So when we look at the huge benefits from this communication skills, we understand how much of emphasis and how much of importance that needs to be given for these particular aspects. Learning and innovation skills, creativity, curiosity, critical thinking, and risk taking. So, how do we bring in this creativity? What exactly, how do we define this creativity? Because this is something, creativity and critical thinking, problem solving skills are, as I said, I reiterate the fact that these are on top of the chart in the skills identified by World Economic Forum. So, how exactly do we go about with the enhancing of the creativity skills of students? So here we can come out with various visualization activities for the students. So these visualization activities is where they are able to come out with a clear picture of what they look for at a future point in time or in a given particular situation. So that is where we are talking about the creativity part of it and curiosity, because this inquiry-based teaching, what we take up, can definitely cater to enhancing the curiosity of the learners. Inquiry-based teaching is something which has picked up, and this can be definitely taken up through various activities wherein there are very specific kind of activities which will enhance these skills among the students. And critical thinking and problem solving skills, we are talking about equipping the learners to think from different perspectives, think from various different aspects. So that is where we are talking about critical thinking and problem solving skills, and of course, the risk taking. So, looking again, just recollecting what we saw in the model, where we have the industry skills that are required and the education, how we are able to cater to that. So the life and career skills, when we are talking about flexibility and adaptability, because we all know survival, it is not the strongest or the largest entity that will survive, organism that will survive. It is the one which is most adaptable that will survive in the present day scenario. So this has been there from ages why the dinosaur became extinct. Though it was so huge, but then adaptability was very, very low. So when we look at this, flexibility and adaptability to various situations is something which is to be taken care of, leadership and responsibility. So taking ownership of what we are doing is something which gives them the confidence to take on the leadership role. Social and cross-functional skills, because when you're talking about multicultural organizations, again, this is, here I would like to share, there was one very interesting research that I had carried out some time back. So this was about the challenges faced by the present day organizations. We were able to identify that it is because of the multi-generational workforce and multicultural scenario. These are the two major challenges that are faced by many of the organizations, because when we are talking about multi-generational workforce, they are unable to come up with certain kind of policies or the policies and procedures where it is suitable for the different generations in the organizations. So that is something which is really bothering many of the organizations, and multicultural scenario. Multicultural workforce means we have from across the globe. So how exactly these kind of cross-cultural conflicts can be resolved? So that is something which is very, very interesting to know. And then initiative and self-direction, productivity and accountability. Ultimately, whether it is the leadership or whether it is the adaptability, whether it is the social skills, ultimately it comes to the accountability, taking ownership of our actions, and all these are based on a strong foundation of ethical, moral and spiritual values, because present day organizations require more of ethical leaders, more of the leaders who are strongly driven by the value systems. So that is something which is most important in these life and careers. Info, media and technology skills. So when it comes to visual and information literacy, so here we are talking about the kind of catering to the requirement in terms of the visual aspects and the information literacies. We have various tools and techniques which we are able to extend to the students when it comes to interpretation, data interpretation, using the tools. So those are the visual and information literacies, the basic scientific, economic and technological literacies, and multicultural literacy. So this is again pertaining to the media, information and technology. So here, when it comes to the 21st century education, what exactly is this 21st century education all about? So let's quickly watch this one video and then discuss on what is that it is conveying. Yes. So that I think kind of quickly conveyed to us what exactly is the kind of education we are looking at, the kind of teachers we are, the kind of classrooms that we are, expecting, and how exactly students are to be equipped for these. We understood we as teachers are no longer only teaching in class. That is, we are not just sharing the content that we are talking about. It is more to do with mentoring, it is more to do with collaboration, it is more to do with innovation, it is more to do with technology, and also the kind of leadership. So, how do we look at ourselves in this particular scenario? How do we look at ourselves as teachers, catering to the requirements in the present day expectation of Industry 4.0? So here, I think Dr. Aarti, if you could just allow a few participants to please come out with any of their thoughts on this, because this is where we learn from each other. It is not that it is just to be told or something. So if that possibility is there, if you can allow them to unmute themselves, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, definitely, ma'am.
Yeah.
Participants, just check that you are able to unmute yourself. Nagisa, you are able to unmute yourself, right? And they are able to.
Yeah, fine. Now, because when we look at our own institutions, when we look at the overall quality, when we say quality of teaching, learning, you have to look into even the minutest details of how the quality of assignments are, what are the kind of rubrics that we are, making for the assessment of these kind of assignments. Everything plays an important role, because here we have the teaching learning center where, which I'm heading there. So when we look at various aspects, from the classroom content to whatever is the additional innovations that we have brought in, what is the quality of the assignments, how is the assignment spaced out in terms of timelines, all these are to be looked into. So if we could share a few thoughts on these, that would be really nice. Any of the participants, if at all, we could share some thoughts on these, because all of us, it is a learning experience. No? Okay. That's fine. So now, when we have these kind of the situation where the learners come with extremely high expectations batch after batch, year after year, those of us who are there in this particular teaching profession, we have seen over a period of time how the mindset has changed, how the expectations have changed, and how the accessibility to information has enhanced exponentially. See, now knowledge is something which can be imparted easily. Skills, yes, to a certain extent, with some little bit of hands-on, focusing on hands-on experience, the skill sets also can be looked into. But when it comes to the attitudes, the KSAs, the attitude part of it, the mindset part of it, how we are able to mold, how we are able to really look into the transforming the thought process, transforming the mindset of the students, and not just students, of our own selves. How is it that we are accepting these kind of changes? How is it that we are taking in our stride how these changes are happening? And what is it that we are doing to equip ourselves is also something which matters a lot. Because this is where the kind of rigidity which generally we have has to be overcome. So that is what is the 21st century education. We saw now what exactly the students will be looking for, the kind of jobs they don't even exist as of now, because we have seen so many different job roles which have come, which were unheard of when we were just taking up our jobs. So what is it that we as educators need to do? What is it that we as the 21st century educational institutions have to take up? So whatever we were seeing in the video, I've just put it in this particular graph here with this particular diagram. 21st century educator, that is all of us. Starting with the two bottommost, those are the kind of the we say the foundation, being a visionary and being a leader. So from being a visionary leader, we have a plethora of roles that we play. So what are the other roles? The role model, because students definitely emulate what the teacher does. This has been there at all levels, not just the kindergarten kids or the primary school kids, even at the post-graduation level, this particular thing holds good. And the collaborator, let's have that kind of an openness. Let's have that kind of an open mindset to collaborate, learn from each other, and also see to it the effectiveness of teaching learning process is enhanced, the risk taker. So I looked at it on one side of the chart. The other side, we have very important, the learner, the communicator, and the adapter. So when we are looking at learner, the moment learning stops, teaching also stops. So eternally a learner, eternally a communicator, and of course the adapter. The ones who adapt themselves to the changing scenario are the ones who will thrive as effective teachers. So because these are certain things, there is something in the chat box. So if any of the participants have any other thoughts to share, you could also please put it up in the chat box. If at all there is any problem with the audio. So chat box is also fine. So we just have to see how many of these roles and how effectively we are playing these roles day in and day out in our day-to-day teaching learning scenario. So here it is. If we teach today, as we taught yesterday, we rob our children of their tomorrow. It's so true. Because unless until we adapt and gear up to cater to the requirements of the children because we are preparing them for tomorrow. So if we teach today as we taught yesterday, we rob our children of their tomorrow, is what John Dewey said. So this is what I have from my side. If there are any questions, I'm happy to.
Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us with your wonderful knowledge. Now, any participant is having any questions?
If at all there are any questions, any thoughts, because as I said, we as teachers have to have an open mind to learn from each other. So if at all there are, how can we modernize the syllabus of B.Ed education nowadays? Majority of them are following traditional methods. Yes, this particular aspect is something which has to be looked into, and it has to be completely revamped so as to cater to the requirements. So I think we can look into the present day industry requirement. Whom are we preparing, especially when it comes to the teacher education? Teacher education is the first thing which has to get completely modernized. So there we need to include all the modern pedagogical methods as part of this, and also equip these teacher trainees to inculcate the methods, the what we call innovative methods right from day one. Because if we go by whatever we are looking at as the B.Ed curriculum, it's still in the traditional methods. And how is it that we are going to equip the children? Because it is like letting them compete for tomorrow with their yesterday's preparedness. That cannot happen. So of course, that is a very good thought, and thanks for that. How can we modernize? Yes, this how part of it is again the policy and the entire ecosystem. But beyond whatever is prescribed as the curriculum, definitely we can think about it in a different way, because the thought process can start at our at the individual level, at the institutional level, where we are able to equip the teacher trainees with all the innovative pedagogical tools. So beyond the curriculum, there is no harm going, but as long as it can be done, the whole thing can be revamped, nothing like that. But modernizing and changing the entire curriculum, I don't think can happen very fast and cannot happen overnight. So yeah, policy, let it take its time, but we as individuals, we have the freedom and flexibility and open mind to take it, walk that extra mile. I hope that answers the question. Yeah. Anything else? See, this not just the B.Ed education, everywhere, when you're talking about even the other courses, the undergraduate and the postgraduate courses, there also the university prescribes a curriculum. But if at all we are struck, or if at all we are kind of hold up in that particular framework, then nothing can happen. So it's again the individual initiative, the institutional initiative, which can make things work. So everywhere this is active. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Anything else?
Thank you, ma'am, for answering the queries. The essence of all beautiful art, all great art is gratitude. Now I request Dr. Aarti ma'am to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. No duty is more urgent than Thanksgiving. We must find time to stop and thank people who make a difference in our lives. Good afternoon, one and all. Present here, on behalf of Kristu Jayanti College, I deem it my privilege to propose the vote of thanks on the final day of Faculty Development Program on usage of innovative pedagogical techniques. I take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt gratitude to esteemed Speaker of the Day, Dr. Anupama Malagi, RV Institute of Management, Bangalore, Karnataka. Ma'am, your guiding words on advanced learning methods, which included the experiential learning along with the various types of skills required for the students, was very useful for all the teaching fraternity. Thank you so much, ma'am. I am delighted to express my deep gratitude to our respected Reverend Father J.S.V. Thomas, Financial Administrator, Kristu Jayanti College, for all the guidance and moral support. I would also like to thank our beloved Head Department of Commerce, Professor Vijay Kumar R, for his constant help and guidance that radiated our source of energy within us. Thank you, sir. I extend my sincere thanks to all the faculty coordinators, along with Dr. C. Nagadeepa and the organizing committee members for the successful conduct of FDP. I would be failing in my duty if I did not thank all the participants of FDP who had made this FDP successful. I would also like to thank each and every one for being here and making the FDP a success. At last, I would again request all the faculty members who have still not finished the payment procedures kindly fulfill all the registration fees by today using the link available in the brochure which has been shared in the WhatsApp group. And the certificates will be issued to all the participants within 7 to 10 days, for which please fill the feedback details clearly with all the details, your names, your designations, which has to be appeared on the your certificates. Thank you once again. Have a great day. I remain.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
ma'am.
for accepting our invitation and being a guest for the day. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thanks for the opportunity, and it was great being here part of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Dear participants, feedback link is being shared. Please fill the details clearly.
Thank you, ma'am. By this way, we have come into the final day of the FDP. Once again, I thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. I remain.
And all the days session YouTube link will be shared in the group, so you can have the details also in that. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
May I leave?
Yeah, ma'am. We'll end the meeting within 5 minutes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We'll do that.